What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be working on something really exciting. We're going to be working on a walker. Okay, I know it's not an exciting video, but there's a lot of people out there that actually have parents or grandparents that are using these, and what we're working on today is we're working on this drive, part number R726BL. Okay, so this is a nice aluminum frame. It's lightweight. They get used a lot and they mess up. What is going on with this one is it looks like the cable has broken on this, and they asked to see if this could be repaired at the place that they bought it from, and they said that no, there is no fixing it. You have to buy a new one. Well, we know that sometimes it's true and lots of times it's not. So I've worked on a lot of these and I figured we would do a video on it. So what we're going to be needing in this video is we're going to need a pair of bicycle cable cutters. We're needing a Phillips screwdriver. We're going to need a Tri-Flow wet Teflon lube, and we're going to be needing these special parts. They're actually from a company called Odyssey. They're BMX parts. They're actually Odyssey NARPs. So that's KNARPS. So sometimes we like to say KNARPS, but that's not it. The K is silent. So let's go ahead and start to take this apart and see what is going on. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the brake lever. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unscrew this Phillips screw right here. Be careful, do not misplace the parts. And we're going to kind of push the screw back into their thumb to remove the whole thing, and this should come out, and be careful, parts will fall out sometimes. Okay, so apparently it's either, actually we might be okay, it might have just fallen out of place. Let's look. Okay, no, it's definitely broken. All right, so now that we've got this off, we're going to be getting our Clark's brake cable here. And this, I love these cables because these cables are, they have a Teflon liner on the inside of the housing, allowing the cable to move very smoothly in there. We're going to be using the barrel style head on here, and that means I'm going to need to cut this other side off. We're going to pull the cable housing out of this. Now, I just dropped the spring, so I need to make sure we don't misplace this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull the cable out of the housing. The cable length was actually quite good, so we're going to just start from the end and we're going to go along the housing here, and we're going to cut it the exact same length. Now with this Teflon liner, you want to make sure that it's open and that there's no burrs. So we've got a little piece of metal in the wrong place here, so I'm just going to trim that just a little bit by going at an angle. And then this liner on the inside is closed, so you want to get a sharp nail or something like that and just open it up. That's it. So now that we've got the cable here, we're going to take the barrel end and we're going to put it into the handle. We're going to then get the cable and we're going to slide it through the barrel adjuster. So you want to install the lever, replace the bolt. Actually, I do like to put a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolt, just a little bit, and then screw it in. And then we can get started on the next step. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting our housing that's already been cut down. We're going to be getting our tri-flow. We want to shake it up real good before using it. And first off, grab the right housing. I grabbed the longer housing. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be sliding the cable into the housing. Make sure that the cable is not frayed. We're going to put the cable in, and sometimes I find it's best to give the cable housing a little bit of a spin as I'm putting it in. That helps keep the cable moving in smoothly. So we're going to put a little bit of oil on the cable housing, or cable, sorry, and slide it in. We're going to put more lube on there, a couple inches, and just keep working it like this until it goes all the way through to the bottom. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this old cable out of where the zip ties are, and be sure to keep all the parts that come off of this. So we're going to go ahead and put this housing back into place. Now you can look at the other side and see how it's routed, but this is going through a zip tie that's right here, and then it goes through a little plastic hook. It serves the same purpose as the zip tie. Now you can, if you feel like it, just zip tie it in place of where this hook is, but I like this hook. I'm going to put it, I'm going to use the hook again. And then we're going to put the cable through the adjustment barrel. Put the cable through the adjustment barrel. Make sure it's all the way in place. All right. So now that we've got the new cable and housing, we're going to get the spring. We're going to go ahead and put it in place. We need to make sure that we don't forget that. And then we're going to get our NARP, and we're going to be using a rivet to complete this job. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our 3/16 aluminum rivet. Now it doesn't have to be aluminum, it could be steel. But what we're going to be doing is we're not going to be using it as a rivet, we're going to be using it to keep the cable from sliding out of place. So first thing that we need to do is we need to get this little pin out of this the rivet here. So I'm going to get my needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm going to get my hammer, and it shouldn't require much. You just need to tap it out just a little bit, and you're going to be left with this right here. it's kind of like a, well, it's going to be used as a shim or a top hat adapter, I guess you can call it. So I'll show you how we're going to use it. The problem is that whenever we hook the cable up, it can slide out of this little spot here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our rivet that fits perfectly in the hole, and the cable is going to be going through this, what's left of the rivet, and it's going to keep it from accidentally coming out. So we're going to go ahead and put our cable through the rivet, and the spring is already on the cable, so you don't want to forget that. We're going to pull it through. Like so. Put the spring in place. Okay. And then we're going to get our NARPs here, and these NARPs are going to clamp on the bottom of the cable here and secure the brake into place. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our NARPs here, and we're going to, thankfully it's provided with a Allen wrench, so we're going to actually unscrew the Allen. Now be very careful, because that does get lost easily, but it's very important to grease the threads. That's going to allow you to secure the cable better, and also you want to put plenty of grease where it's going to be touching the cable. So we've got grease on the threads. Now we're going to put a generous amount of grease on top there, and we're going to reinstall it. And put it on the walker. We're going to now install the NARP. We're going to put it on the end of the cable, slide it all the way through, and then we're going to try to position this where we think it needs to be, which I'm going to say we're going to put this about here. And I'm going to tighten the NARP down just a little bit. Not real tight, and I'm going to check to see how the brakes are. Okay, so that was not in a good position, so I'm going to loosen the NARP a little bit more, and it's too loose, so I'm going to tighten it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm securing the NARP. I'm going to test the brake. That's still too loose. I want to tighten it up a little bit more. So I'm keeping the cable tight, and I'm moving the NARP up. Tighten this down a little bit more, and we're going to test it. Okay, and that's looking pretty good. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit more because the cable is going to stretch out a little bit. Now we want to make it where this woman can actually use her brakes. You don't want to make it too tight because she's an older woman, and if you make it too tight, then it won't work. Okay, that feels like it's great. So I'm going to get my adjustable wrench, and I'm going to use it to hold the NARP in place for me to tighten it. And I apologize, it's not very visible, and it's a little tight. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and secure this in place. You want to make it snug, but you don't want to break the cable. If you break the cable, it's going to fray and fail. So I'm just making it snug, and then I'm going to test the brake. That's working good. I'm going to engage the parking brake. And that is nice and secure. It's slipping a little bit, but that's why they make adjustment barrels. So I'm going to put my adjustable wrench here and adjust the barrel. And if you'll notice, that barrel is starting to go up, so it's making it tighter. Okay, let's see this. Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. Wheel spins easily, and then the brake stops. So now we're going to trim the cable. And Clark's has this little cable tip that we put on the end to keep the cable from fraying. So we're going to cut this cable about 1 inch longer. We're going to get the cable tip and put it on. We're just going to crimp it in place. And that's all you need to do. As you can see, this worked out pretty well. The rivet is very important because that rivet is a little bit larger than the hole. So that's why you slip the rivet in from the bottom, because the cable, or I should say the cable and the NARP, are going to keep that rivet in place. And that is very important for the safety of the customer, because we don't want this cable to slide out of place. So I think this turned out great. This job costs $30 to do versus having to buy a new one of these, which I think they said was like $180. And I'm very confident in this job because actually there's a lot of other ones that are using almost this exact same technique, and it works out great. So if you liked this video, please leave me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to tell your friends. Check out some of the other videos on the corner of the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.